How's it going? Dr. J here with another inspiring message of health. And today I wanted to touch basis on the importance of using the sauna and why you need to use it regularly, why it should become habitual for you. I use the sauna about 3 hours a week, and I come in here post-workout, and I like to sit in here for 30 minutes to an hour and just sweat it out. Through your sweat, you can get rid of things like heavy metals. You can get rid of bisphenol A, or BPA, which is the ingredient, the chemical that they use in plastic. It's a hardener. You sweat out that. You can sweat out heavy metals like lead, as well as other heavy metals. And so it's very important that we sweat on a regular basis. And I think people just don't sweat enough regularly. And the problem is we're getting exposed, we're getting bombarded by toxins on a regular basis, on a day-to-day basis, in fact. Now, most of these toxins we're exposed to are in trace amounts. However, over time, you're talking about a lot of toxins that you get exposed to over a lifetime. So, 10 to 20, 30 years down the road, that little bit of daily exposure becomes a very big amount of exposure later. And so these toxins bioaccumulate in our body. They're stored in the fat cells. A lot of times, a lot of the toxins are fat soluble. Your brain is 70% cholesterol. Okay, for guys, we store toxins around our midsection. Wherever your body has fat, these fat soluble toxins are going to get stored in there. So it's very important that we break down those fat cells through a process called lipolysis. And what happens is those heavy metals, basically the fat cells get rid of the heavy metals and toxins. They go back into the bloodstream, and then they get processed through the liver and the kidneys. The other mechanism is they actually get excreted through the skin via the sweat. So sweating is another incredible detoxing mechanism that the body has built within itself to help us survive and thrive despite being bombarded by all of these toxins. So I wrote a chapter in my book, Designed to Thrive, which will be coming out in January or maybe sooner this year. I wrote a chapter called Removing the Interference of Toxicity, where I go over all the different ways we're exposed to toxins. And basically, I wrote pages and pages and pages on all the different avenues of toxic exposure. And what I can tell you is going through all that is basically almost everything is toxic for us. There's such a thing as potency, so the type of toxins you're exposed to, plus, so like mercury is more potent than lead, arguably. It's the second most potent poison on the planet, I would say. So there's potency, and then there's the amount of toxins that you're exposed to. So if you eat a can of tuna, you're actually eating this mercury. But the cool thing is our body's intelligent enough to get rid of some of that mercury that you eat in a can of tuna through the liver, then through the kidneys, and then eventually you excrete it out through your urine. However, some of those toxins get stored up, okay? So everything's toxic. Makeup products are loaded with phthalates and other toxins. Your carpet that you walk on has toxins in it. The different household cleaners that you use, but I would say one of the biggest toxins that people don't necessarily think about, maybe more so now for at least the people I'm connected with, but your amalgam fillings are 50% mercury by weight. There's some other metals in there as well, but that mercury off gases, and you get this mercury vapor that you can't detect, you can't smell it, you can't perceive it. So you're actually breathing in these mercury vapors, and as they off gas, anybody that is standing near that person, they can possibly get exposed to that mercury vapor as well. There's a very good documentary about the Gerson therapy method of healing, where they do this video of the smoking tooth, where they literally brush a tooth just like you would. This tooth was 50 years old, and it had an amalgam filling, and they brush it just like you would when you brush your teeth. and they put it up against a fluorescent background and exposed it to fluorescent lighting, and you can see this black mercury vapor coming off the tooth. And they held up a mercury sniffer, and it read 121. And so if the mercury sniffer read 121 in, let's say, a facility or whatnot, they would evacuate the building. That's how potentially toxic and damaging and carcinogenic and neurotoxic mercury is to your body. So we get exposed to all of these toxins, heavy metals and different chemicals in the air that we breathe, in our home environment, the plastic off-gassing in our car, all these things. So it's very, very important that we detox. And one of the best ways to detox is come into the sauna after you finish your workout and start off with just 15 minutes and then try to expand that to 30 minutes and then eventually 45 minutes. If you do this on a regular basis, you're able to get rid of a lot more toxins. They don't necessarily bioaccumulate in your body, and you can achieve optimum health levels for longer. So not only is this going to help you live longer, in my opinion, but it's also going to help with your quality of life. Now, skeptics say you only sweat out trace amounts of these toxins. Well, I'll tell you what, if you are exposed to trace amounts of these toxins on a regular basis, how much more important is it for us to get rid of these toxins, at least in trace amounts, on a regular basis? So I do the sauna about 3 hours a week, and I've noticed phenomenal results. In fact, when I get out of the sauna, I feel like I can see better and I can hear better. I feel like my thoughts are much better overall. I have more of a clear level of thinking. And let me just tell you too, when you're stressed out and your body is in that sympathetic mode where you're locked into this fight or flight, high stress mode, coming into the sauna and doing some breathing exercises and listening to some meditation tracks will help to calm your nervous system down and really decrease your level of stress. And ultimately, they say, stress